So this week I got a call from Capcom asking me if I could create a drink for Monster Hunter Rise. And I said I was honored. Absolutely. I would love to. It sounds awesome. Let me spend some time with the game. I'll do my research. Give me like a month. And they said, well, here's the thing. We need it fast. And I said, how fast? They said, really fast. Like right now. Can you do it? And I was really conflicted because as much as I wish it didn't, these kinds of things take time. But then I thought about how much I love Capcom. I remembered Mega Man, my old pal, and how much time we've spent together over the years, and well, I couldn't say no to Mega Man. So today on How to Drink, I'm going to come up with a recipe for Monster Hunter Rise, and it better be darn good, because it's sponsored by Capcom. I do love Capcom, and they are sponsoring this one, so thank you, Capcom. It's a pleasure to work together. And you can check out Monster Hunter Rise by clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment. And let's go. Okay, here's what I know about Monster Hunter Rise. It's an action RPG where you hunt down huge monster things and craft them into weapons and armor and potions. There are cat buddies in it called Palico, which I assume is a portmanteau of pal and calico. Nice. Love a good portmanteau. The game has a kind of bewildering range of weapon and play styles, including something I'm going to call the man tank and also the feudal machine gunner, which is kind of surprising, but I'm going to go with it. There's this new wire bug thing, which is like a glowing insect grappling hook that can grab empty air and lets you do wild aerial attacks and climb mountains and stuff, and cool. In addition to calicos, there are now palamutes, presumably a portmanteau of pal and malamute. They're buddy riding dogs. I love a good portmanteau. It's co-op up to 4 players, and it's on the Nintendo Switch, which I finally got so I could check this game out. The consoles have been out of stock in my area and online for like a year. Took some hunting to find one. And cooking in this game is serious business, at least the way they do it at this in-game shop. I do have to question the health code implications of a kitchen run by Palicos, though. Oh, and there's potions in this game, which I mentioned. There's quite a few of them. I haven't really had time to do a deep dive on the potion crafting system in the game or in the lore, but I'll walk you through my thought process on developing a cocktail based on what I see in the game. So potions are represented in your inventory as these little 2D icons, and their shape to me suggests either an apothecary bottle or like a straight-sided teacup, which you find at like a Japanese restaurant. There's a big list of craftable potions in this game, and I can't claim to be super familiar with the gameplay or lore or the world at this point. So I don't know which potions are the ones that are going to be most common or vital while you're playing the game. But my guess is that a lot of that is going to come down to your chosen individual play style. So maybe there's no universal answer there. I'm betting that's correct. Except for the straight up potion, which is actually a healing item. The healing item, the potion. I'm going to bet you use a lot of those. The recipe for a potion, at least in Monster Hunter Rise, I can't speak to other titles in the series, requires an herb, and the icon is green, so it's called a green herb, and a blue mushroom, which, that doesn't sound very edible. There's also Mega Potion, which is better. I think that one heals you up all the way, or maybe a lot more, I forget which. You make that one by mixing a potion with honey. Now that I like, because honey is a real ingredient, and that at least gives me something to go off of. So I'm going to go with making a Mega Potion here today on the Monster Hunter Rise episode of How to Drink. My first thought in approaching this was that the green herb should be green tea or matcha. Matcha and honey make for a really delicious combination, and green tea is a green herb. So that would be pretty easy, but I've done a matcha-based cocktail pretty recently in my episode on the Wellerman. I don't know, it felt kind of like a mistake to just do that again, or a version of that again. And I had this other idea anyway, because I think that a healing potion really should be a bit medicinal tasting, a bit bracing, should have some kick to it. So here's what I've got. But you know what, though? I'll do this one both ways. I'm going to do the non-alcoholic matcha honey latte thing, because I do think that's an appropriate answer to the question of what is a real-world version of a Mega Potion. And it sounds delicious, and maybe you want to know how to make one anyway. And I'll do the cocktail version. And which one I'll do first? Let's flip a coin. Yeah. We'll do the cocktail first. Okay. So this drink could be stirred or shaken. Typically you shake when there's fruit juice or opaque ingredients. There's no fruit juice here, but there is going to be honey syrup. And though it's not pulpy, the honey syrup will cloud the drink, and it does froth pretty nicely when shaken, so it responds well to shaking. But I'm going to opt for a stirred cocktail on this one. And the honey syrup, by the way, is just 2 parts honey to 1 part water by weight, just stirred until it's dissolved. So I need a ½ ounce of my honey syrup, maybe a little bit more. You know, the sweetening part of a cocktail is generally the taste, so you can adjust based on your preference. Next, I need this French aperitif. I got a lot of crap for how I pronounce aperitif. I said aperitif in my aperitif episode, but it's aperitif. So next, I need this French aperitif called Suze, which apparently is correct. It's pronounced Suze. It's a liqueur made from the root of the gentian plant, which is bitter, very medicinal. Gentian is an herb that is green, that has been used medicinally since at least like the Middle Ages, so it feels actually like the right move here, really to be the baseline center for this drink. By the way, if you're looking to pick up any of the bottles I use on this show, I've joined forces with Curiata to make that easier for, hopefully, a lot of you. A good chunk of the USA can order direct from them, and I will have a link in the pinned comment below to where you can pick this up or anything else I use on the show. I don't have a list offhand of which states we can ship to. It's expanding all the time. If you think you won't be eligible to order, you might be surprised, so check them out. Anyway, I'm gonna add 1 ounce of Suze. Ooh, man, it's got an intense color. At this point, when I was working on my recipe, I knew I wanted this interplay of Suze and honey, and I had played with that a little bit. That's not yet a cocktail, right? That's a modifier and a sweetener. Really need kind of a base spirit, and I need it to be clear, I think, because there's something going on with the color of the Suze that we'll come to later that is very important for this. Any clear spirit could work. I tried vodka, I tried gin, I tried mahia, which I meant to bring this to the bar, but I didn't bring to the bar. It's up in my kitchen right now. Silly of me. Mahia, by the way, is a fig brandy that I explored in a video I did a while back about Raiders of the Lost Ark. Link below. I'm very proud of that video. And I also tried Bacardi Blanco. The vodka was fine. The gin turned out to be an extremely bad idea. The mahia was super interesting. If you pick up a bottle of mahia, I've tried this drink with the mahia, try a lot of things with the mahia. It's really cool stuff. It's pretty figgy. It has, I mean, like when you open it, it smells like opening a carton of Fig Newtons to me. They probably have a different name for Fig Newtons in the UK. I'm almost certain they do. I don't know what you call them over there, but I bet it's a different name. And I just wasn't sure that I really wanted this to be a fig cocktail. I like it a lot. I thought it was interesting. I don't know. I made a judgment call. Ultimately, the Bacardi kind of edges out the others for me because Suze, basically my thinking is that Suze is already a really big flavor. And the Bacardi kind of mellows it out and rounds the edges off slightly, whereas the mahia kind of competes for dominance. Like you want to feature the mahia, right? So, 1.5 ounces of Bacardi. All right, and that's really the basis for the cocktail. I'm gonna crack some ice into that and stir it up. Stir that up. It's tough to stir all the way out there. Much easier to stir right here where my arms are. I had a lot of options here. I wasn't really sure what to do. You know, I thought maybe something like that, but ultimately I think this. I want to strain this into this neat and see how this looks. I haven't tried this yet, but I think this is going to be cool. It's called a tasting glass. It comes from Riedel. I guess I'll put a link in the pinned comment. I'm going to strain it in there neat. And now for a bit of alchemy. The icon in the game strongly implies that this drink should be green, but that it's also made with a blue mushroom, which I omit because though there are blue mushrooms, I'm pretty sure you can't eat any of them, at least not on this show. So I'm going to take a little bit of this Blue Curaçao, a bar spoon, maybe a touch more, and dash that into the drink and give it a stir. And I actually thought about putting it in a dasher. There we go. And boom, now we have our green cocktail right before your eyes. There's probably, you know, more fun ways you could do that transformation. You could dripper or something like that. That'd be cool, like an absinthe dripper. It's pretty damn green, honestly. At first you're like, is that really that green? But after it sits for a second, it starts to look really green. Felt a bit like a fantasy potion making moment there and appropriate to the game's ingredients and setting. Since people will ask, I did do experiments with butterfly pea blossoms, both powdered and whole. I got close, maybe. Ultimately, those efforts kept yielding really murky. None of them really popped green like that. That is green, that drink. Here's the Mega Potion cocktail. Let's see how it is. Oh, I like that so much. It's very nice. I love that. It is, it has a punch. It has a lot of bitterness, I don't find it overpowering. The gentian is strong. Gentian is a very earthy bitter. It has a lot of punch to it. It has a very strong gentian note. I don't find it overpowering. Suze can really be overpowering, and there's a lot of Suze here. I mean, this is right on the edge, right? We're playing with the threshold, I think. Gentian is a very earthy bitterness, and I mean earth, like iron, dirt earth, right? That kind of root bitterness. Gentian, by the way, there's only a few, quote, bittering agents. Gentian is one, wormwood is one. I'm trying to remember, like maybe bitter orange peels is another. There's only, like if it's bitters, it's got to have a bittering agent in it somewhere. It's one of its components. So gentian is one of them. Not syrupy, but it is sweet, which is great because it really moderates how bitter this drink is overall. The honey and the bitter actually interplay very nicely. They yield a, it's kind of like a sweet and sour kind of combination, you know? It's like a sweet and bitter combination. It's bittersweet. Oh, hey, it's bittersweet. And the whole thing is kind of a delight. The rum doesn't bring much to the table. I said it wasn't going to, and that was kind of the idea, was to sort of find something in here to stiffen it up into cocktail territory, but stay out of the way. I think it's pretty balanced, actually. I say balanced because it's not dry. A lot of times people think that balanced means dry, right? Like it's, oh, on the balance, it's pretty dry. It's not dry, it's balanced. And I say that specifically because gentian is a big sock you in the jaw flavor. And this is pretty sweet as well. I wouldn't say it's too sweet. I wouldn't say it's cloyingly sweet. It is maybe sweeter than the average bear, but you need that to kind of stand up to and compete with that gentian. The Blue Curaçao, by the way, you might get, yeah, I'm getting a little bit of citrus notes, but we really only added a bar spoon here for color. It's more of a, it's a presentational thing, really. You are getting some citrus notes, not a tremendous amount. Cool looking, it's green. I mean, it's like as green as Midori, Midori or something like that, right? I think, or just right there. And you never have a green ingredient. You have yellow and blue, and that's fun to see happen, I think. The taste is good. It is somewhat medicinal, but totally drinkable. I can see ginger being an interesting thing to work into here too. I don't have any ginger syrup at the moment. It's gone bad on me. But also, like, I don't know. I was trying to work with what the game gives me for a recipe. So like the idea of just starting to like add in ginger and stuff because I think it's a good idea. That sort of breaks the rules, you know, for me. There has to be, I don't exactly know what the rules are. I know when I see them. There are rules to what I'm doing on this show. If I break them, if I cheat, yeah, it's not good. Doesn't work. That's a mega potion. I love it. Okay, so moving on. I said I'd be doing a non-alcoholic thing here too. Honestly, you know, a matcha anything is probably a lot closer to a real life version of a healing potion than anything with alcohol, so I don't know. Maybe this is a better answer to how to make a mega potion anyway. I don't mind this one though. There's a few ways to do this. You can certainly make these hot. I'm gonna opt for a cold version here. I'm pretty hopeless with the bamboo whisk. I'd rather not embarrass myself trying. So I'm gonna use a cocktail shaker, which is why I'm using a cold version. I'd burn myself if I was shaking a hot drink. I think it'd be tough to do. You know what you need, those pouring mugs. Into this cocktail shaker, I'm gonna start with 4 ounces of milk. I was originally thinking that I might use something like coconut milk here or some other milk alternative. Turns out I didn't have any and I needed to shoot this right away. So I'm using whole milk. Here's the thing, you can use any of those. They will all work. They will all yield slightly different results. Matter of fact, there was a coffee house across the street from an ad agency I used to freelance at when I was editing commercials and stuff. That's what I used to do before the show. And they would make these with, not exactly the way I'm about to make it, but they would make a matcha latte or something like that with any milk you want. There's really no limit here. They will all be different. I'll tell you, hemp milk was surprisingly good. This is whole milk, vitamin D, added regular old cow milk from my fridge. So I'm gonna do 4 ounces in my shaker. And strictly speaking, no, this isn't really a latte. I mean, a latte is made with espresso and steamed milk. But people call this kind of a thing a latte. What it really is a milkshake. That's really what it is. We're gonna make a green tea milkshake. If you've ever had like a green tea frappe or something, frappuccino from Starbucks, it's a little bit like that. Then we need an ounce of the honey syrup. and about a half a teaspoon of a matcha powder, which I have right here. It's nothing fancy, and obviously it comes in this really cool freeze bag thing. And that's a lot, that's plenty. It's probably a little more than a half a teaspoon. But I like my matcha potent. I do. I do love matcha, by the way. So normally, at this point, I would add my ice to my shaker, right? And normally I do this whole thing where I put in one big ice cube and one shaking cube. And if people ask me all the time, I can't answer this question in every single video. That is from a kind of blind study that Dave Arnold did at I think it was at Tales of the Cocktail or something like Tales of the Cocktail, where he shook like 20 cocktails or something, 40, 100 cocktails, to try to prove that the ice you used really didn't matter, and he was staggered to find out that did matter, and he found that having some tiny ices that some people call agitator cubes and one big heavy thing that really throw things around in there yielded the best results. I'm not going to do that today though. When you start shaking things that aren't cocktails, that aren't spirits, you start shaking with lots of water, with wines, with milk, with tea, anything like that. And you have a lot of ice, and you have a lot of surface area that can really drop the temperature hard and fast. But you run the risk of everything turning into slush. And we don't need to do that. We don't want to do that. I'm going to use one big ice cube instead, and I'm not going to crack it. I'm going to leave it whole. And further, I'm not going to shake this super duper hard either. I usually have a really pretty specific kind of shake. I'm not going to even go that nuts, because all I really need to do here is chill it down, froth it a bit, and mix it well. Add maybe a touch of dilution, but not really something we're aiming for, right? So we're just going to start light. And it's getting cold in there now, so that means that the air is getting denser in there. It's going to start to develop a negative pressure, basically the positive pressure, whatever. It seals now, right? So now we can go a little faster. And I'm trying not to break up my ice cube too much. Great. Now I've got two glasses here. I don't know which one I was going to use. I have a real matcha bowl. This is like a thermal walled one. Yeah, we'll use that. What the heck? When else do I get the chance to use that on the show, right? And there we have Mega Potion number 2, the non-alcoholic version. Oh, I could have shooken that a little harder, and I still have some matcha sitting on the bottom. Not a perfect one. And there it is. And it's got nice little white, it's got a head on it. It's got some separation to it. I love that. Here it is. Let's see how Mega Potion non-alcoholic version. It's a green tea latte. It's an iced green tea latte. This is delicious. I'm going to finish this. This is a cold, honey-sweetened matcha milkshake. It's delicious. I wound up having one with dinner while I was working on this, and I'm happy to have this one as well. It's really good. It is not overly sweet. It is lightly sweet. You can strongly taste the matcha, which has a nice dry flavor. I wouldn't say bitter or earthy, but dry tea flavor. Delicious. They combine wonderfully. If you wanted to stiffen this up with something, a light rum or vodka wouldn't be terrible. I think it's perfect the way it is. I wouldn't mess with it. It's so truly a shaken milkshake to me. I love them, as opposed to like a melted ice cream milkshake, which is probably pretty traditional, honestly. But I like just shook milk or milk type drinks like this. They're so light and frothy and airy, and the sweetness is not. They're not cloying. They're not over the top. They're just they're kind of refreshing, as opposed to like a heavy kind of dessert that knocks you on your butt, like a potion, like a health potion should be. Plus, this is pretty caffeinated stuff. It'll get you going again. Get your motor going. I think it's delicious. I don't even like milk. I want to thank Capcom again for sponsoring this one. So please make sure to check out Monster Hunter Rise using a link in the pinned comment or the video description below. You'll find my Twitter and my Instagram at HowToDrink. My Patreon is patreon.com/howtodrink. And I'm on Twitch at Greg from HED. Thank you so much for watching. Hey, if you liked this episode, I've been doing this show for a long time. Here are more episodes. There's a lot of noises in here right now, and I don't like all these noises. They're in my bar. Get out of this episode into another episode. That's good. Thank you again, Capcom. Thank you.